I remember the Shadow Temple, quite possibly my all-time favorite temple in the entire Legend of Zelda series. Happy Halloween everyone. Since you guys have voted for the next Zelda theory with an overwhelming response, this Zelda theory will be about the Shadow Temple. Above all things, what appealed to me about this dark dungeon in Ocarina of Time isn't the puzzles nor the enemies. It is the atmosphere that really captivated me. The fear and the backstory of the temple really intrigued me since I was a child. As a result, there are a plethora of still lingering questions about this enigmatic dungeon. Questions that I hope I can answer. Due to the massive amount of research and information being placed into this piece of online content, I will divide this video in 3 sections. In section 1, I will discuss Greek references found within the Shadow Temple. In section 2, I will discuss Hyrule's backstory regarding the Shadow Temple. And finally, in section 3, I will discuss the purpose of the temple. Now, moving towards section 1, I must say that many of my inferences are made from a background in history and my own personal speculations that strike me as very likely. In my previous playthroughs of the Shadow Temple, the biggest questions I asked was, what is this vulture raven-like statue? What are these faces? And why is this dungeon extremely linear compared to the others? Well, to give some light on these still puzzling questions, I believe it is necessary to tell you how I came up with these inferences I have made before I say them. In one of my commitments, I had to canoe at night. At this moment, a friend of mine was reminded of the Greek story of Charon, whom is the ferryman of the Styx River, which is known as the River of the Dead in Greek mythology. It is Charon's duty to transport souls of the recently deceased to the underworld. Suddenly, parallels of the boat in the Shadow Temple rushed to me. The Shadow Temple is also known as the House of the Dead. Other supporting information is that the Shadow Temple is literally built under the Kakariko graveyard. The boat in the dungeon may very well be a nod to Charon carrying passengers across the River of the Dead and to the underworld. However, that was just one Greek reference when it comes towards its mythology. I have done some digging to find out more, and my findings have startled me. For example, many before me have questioned what is the significance of this raven vulture-like statue. And this is where I point to the Greek god of the underworld, Hades' personal screech owl. This creature is known as Ascalaphus, whom is the custodian of the underworld and watches over the dead. Many of these same statues are also found within the bottom of the well. In addition, these portrait-like faces are mounted in both the bottom of the well and the Shadow Temple. What exactly are these faces? Well, these faces somewhat differ from the Nintendo 64 and the 3DS versions, but they are both generally the same thing. A smiling eyeless face. Notice that you can find these faces in the Shadow Temple or the bottom of the well. Both are considered to be places that house the dead. And the only person that strikes me as a logical candidate is the blind prophet of Thebes, Tiresias. Now, I know many would be skeptical about this inference, but please hear me out. According to Greek mythology, when Tiresias died by the hands of Apollo, he entered the underworld. Once he is there, he gives advice to travelers that don't belong in the underworld. Most notably when Odysseus ventured into the underworld in Homer's Odyssey. We essentially see a similar pattern in Ocarina of Time. These same faces give subtle hints or advice on how to progress in the Shadow Temple. I may be going on a limb here, but I find it extremely possible that these eyeless faces are a nod to the blind prophet. But the Greek references don't end there. There is only one unique treasure in the Shadow Temple, which is the hover boots. Interestingly enough, you don't need to use the hover boots to defeat the boss of the Shadow Temple, which is a nice change of pace. However, there is an even more interesting reference regarding the hover boots. These boots have a striking similarity to the winged sandals of the Greek god Hermes. And what is Hermes' duty? Well, not only is he the emissary and messenger of the Greek gods, but he is also a guide to protect souls and travelers that are venturing into the afterlife. Why is it that the hover boots are obtained in the Shadow Temple in the first place? This personally strikes me as a Greek reference of Hermes guiding travelers into the underworld, which in this case happens to be Link. Link obtaining the hover boots in the Shadow Temple is indeed a nice little nod to Greek mythology. However, what about the Eye of Truth? It is constantly told by spirits in the Shadow Temple and the bottom of the well. So what is its significance? Well, it also deals with the Greek god Hermes. In one of Hermes' stories told in Egyptian mythology, Hermes on his way to the underworld obtained the all-seeing Eye of Horus. Since then, Hermes could see things in a different perspective. He can see the underworld, the mortal plane, and the heavens all in a unique perspective. It is this very story of Hermes obtaining true vision that led to many Hermetic cults and followers of Hermes to find the divine vision to see the truth of the world. Well, that concludes section 1 regarding Greek references in the Shadow Temple. Moving on to the Hyrulean backstory of the Shadow Temple, some interesting facts can also be found. The Shadow Temple has been said to have been built by the Sheikah. The tribe known as the Sheikah are also known to be the founders of Kakariko Village. It wasn't until Impa, the attendant of the Hylian royal family, who opened the village to Hylians. However, an event occurred that nearly wiped out the Sheikah tribe. This event is known as the Hyrulean Civil War. During this time, nearly all of the Sheikah died in the defense of the Hylian royal family. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't think we should take that fact lightly. We are talking genocide here. The only remaining Sheikah remaining is Impa after all. Now, why is it that all of the Sheikah were wiped out? What exactly happened during the Hyrulean Civil War? Now, this is where we're really going to be in the speculation part of this video. It could very well be possible that the Hylian royal family did some very questionable things during the Hyrulean Civil War. Think about it for a moment. The Shadow Temple was built by the Sheikah, so it is conjecture to say that the Sheikah has used the temple in the past. In accordance to many passages found in the Shadow Temple and the layout of the dungeon design, it is implied that the place was used as some kind of torture prison. Other theorists have stated that the temple was used during the Hyrulean Civil War to end the war and promote peace in the future, hence the phrase, Shadow Temple, here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. Now, what does that mean? Well, I believe this passage references the Hyrulean Civil War and its outcomes. In other words, the war is Hyrule's dark secret. In fact, the only people that know of the war is the Deku Tree Sprout and possibly the Deku Tree along with the Hylian royal family and Impa. But why is it that this dark moment in Hyrulean history is barely even mentioned? Well, we go to the Shadow Temple boss, Bongo Bongo. Also, he is my favorite Ocarina of Time boss, by the way. He is just fun to look at. Anyways, Bongo Bongo is speculated to be the man who can see the truth, or the original owner of the Lens of Truth, and possibly a Sheikah if you consider the time period. Bongo Bongo is said to be originally sealed in the bottom of the well, the same location where the home belonging to the man who sees the truth supposedly resided. If Bongo Bongo is this particular person in question, what happened? Well, let's take a look at his physical appearance. Both of his hands have been severed and his head seems to be decapitated. In other words, Bongo Bongo seems to be a shadow of his former self, pardon the pun. So it is obvious that Bongo Bongo, or the man who sees the truth, was formerly a Sheikah that created the Lens of Truth. Obviously, because of the nature of this man, it is implied that he has a deep resentment against the Hylian royal family. Eventually, he was subdued and later imprisoned and tortured in the bottom of the well by Impa. But why? And what exactly happened during the Hyrulean Civil War? Well, it could very well be a possibility that Bongo Bongo, or the man who sees the truth, led a rebellion with other Sheikah against the royal family. The Hylians as a result fought back with other Sheikah that haven't deserted, for example Impa. As a result, the entire Sheikah race was nearly wiped out. The only remaining survivor is Impa. And apparently the whole conflict was so bloody and shady that the Hylian royal family wanted to cover up the whole ordeal. For example, the Hylians had a lot to gain from this conflict. For one, they were able to expand their territory to Kakariko, and second, they became the dominant authority in Hyrule, sealing up the Shadow Temple and completely erasing the very existence of the Sheikah tribe as a result occurred. This theory is actually supported somewhat by the non-canonical Ocarina of Time manga that stated that the Sheikah tribe did act in an insurrection against the Hylian royal family. So what does this say about the Hylian royal family as a whole? Well, just take a look again at the Shadow Temple. Shadow Temple, here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. Now, where does the greed come in? When Kakariko became Hylian territory. And what about the hatred? When the entire Sheikah race was nearly wiped out. The Shadow Temple is the location of all the bad deeds the Hylian royal family has done, especially when it comes towards the Sheikah. Now, that was somewhat depressing. If all this occurred, why is it that Impa is still loyal to the royal family? Perhaps we don't know the entire history of what exactly happened during the Hyrulean Civil War, and perhaps we will never know. Maybe Bongo Bongo, or the man who sees the truth, was in reality a very bad person and eliminating him along with other Sheikah deserters was completely justified. Who knows? Now then, let's move on towards the final section of this video, Section 3, the purpose of the Shadow Temple. Technically speaking, the main purpose of the Shadow Temple is to give the game Ocarina of Time more priority when it comes towards its atmosphere. However, there is a much more beautiful aspect about this temple. It is much different than the other temples. It may be linear, but it'll work towards a specific goal. The atmosphere, the bones on the wall masters, dead hands, and Greek mythology references. The Shadow Temple acts as an unorthodox dungeon in Ocarina of Time to change the status quo and give the player some memories. For example, when I played Ocarina of Time for the first time, the most memorable moment for me is playing through the Shadow Temple. Anyways, that's just a theory, a Zelda theory. Okay, I really didn't mean to do that, but I honestly couldn't help myself. I'm not doing that again. Anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Also, for the next Zelda theory, I'm going to give you guys another choice. Comment below on which one you would like to see. A theory about the Hyrulean Civil War, or a theory about how a hookshot works. Comment below on which one you would like to see. Next Zelda theory will come out on November 10th. It will take 2 weeks to make the next one, whatever it might be. Sorry for the delay, I truly am, but school and other responsibilities have really kept me busy as of late. In fact, making this video called for a couple of all-nighters. But I always wanted to make a video about the Shadow Temple, so I had loads of fun making this video. It's probably my favorite topic yet. Well then, I sincerely hope you enjoyed my theory. Oh, and hey, you don't have to agree with me. If you have any thoughts about this theory, please comment below, it's only fair, or make a video response, something. So please like, comment, and subscribe if you really like this video. Till then, happy Halloween, and this is the video of the day.
Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed.
Onions have layers. Ogres have layers.